New Year's Eve in Sydney, 4th of July in New York, a Tuesday night at Disneyland. 275 million pounds of fireworks burn in America every year. $2.2 billion lit on fire. 14,000 displays a year coast to coast. The largest private buyer of explosive devices in the country is not a defense contractor. It is Disney, second only to the Department of Defense. But here is something that might surprise you. Every single shell in every one of those shows was assembled by hand. No machine, no automation. And one color in that sky is so difficult to produce that most crews do not even attempt it. Gunpowder has been launching fire into the sky for over 1,000 years. For most of that history, it produced one thing: orange. When America declared independence in 1776, John Adams wrote that the occasion should be celebrated with illuminations from one end of the continent to the other. The very next year, Philadelphia delivered 13 cannon shots at dawn and fireworks over the Delaware. But Adams got orange. Every city that followed got orange. For the next 50 years, bigger launches, more gunpowder, taller displays. The sky still looked the same. Then something else happened. In the 1830s, Italian pyrotechnic families discovered that mixing certain mineral powders into the gunpowder produced color. For the first time in history, fire could burn red, green, blue, and white, not just orange. That knowledge crossed the Atlantic with Italian immigrants. Among them, the Grucci family left southern Italy and settled in Bellport, Long Island. They built a fireworks dynasty that would earn them the title First Family of Fireworks. Over generations, the Gruccis helped transform fireworks from a gunpowder bonfire into the full-spectrum audiences expect today. But one color fought them at every step. It broke down in heat. It faded mid-air. It refused to hold its hue. That color was blue, and it is still the hardest one to pull off. Here is the thing nobody tells you. It starts with a row of bins on a factory floor. Each bin holds a different colored powder. The worker scoops from the red bin, strontium. Forgiving survives high heat, holds its color no matter what. That is why budget shows are mostly red. Next bin, barium for green. Then copper for blue. The worker handles the copper bin differently. Gloves on, measured portions. The blue powder is the most temperamental in the building. It breaks down if the shell burns too hot and never ignites if the shell burns too cool. The margin between a vivid blue and a washed-out failure is roughly 200 degrees. A deep, rich blue in the sky means someone got that margin exactly right. One more bin, the workers avoid touching with bare hands anything containing sodium. Sodium burns yellow, and even a fingerprint's worth contaminates an entire batch, flooding every other color out. One careless touch ruins weeks of work. The worker mixes the colored powder with 3 other ingredients. 1 to feed the flame, 1 for fuel, 1 to hold the pellet together. Water goes in. The room smells like sulfur and wet chalk. The wet mixture is pressed into sheets cut into small pellets called stars, each about the size of a pea. Then the coating begins. Each star is dipped into a wet paste rolled and set on a drying rack. A single star for a 12-inch shell gets dipped and dried roughly 35 times, layer after layer, built up over at least 17 days. Hundreds of finished stars get packed around a burst charge inside each shell. The shell itself is still assembled by hand. 2 paper hemispheres individually loaded with stars joined with glue. A burst charge sits at the center. Inside, a cardboard insert holds stars glued into a specific pattern. A ring, a heart, a smiley face. The whole thing is wrapped in layers of craft paper, sealed and fitted with a time fuse and a lift charge of black powder at the base. When the burst charge detonates, the cardboard forces stars outward in exactly that shape. The smiley face you see in the sky, someone glued those pellets onto a cardboard cutout one by hand. Shell drops into a mortar tube. Fuse lights. Lift charge fires the shell upward. A time fuse burns during flight, its length sets the altitude. Burst charge detonates. Stars fly outward following the cardboard pattern. Color and shape in the sky for roughly 3 seconds. Gunpowder goes up, colored powders burn, and a cardboard cutout decides the shape. That is it. Every other form of light we use has been automated. LEDs are printed by machines. Screens are assembled by robots. Stadium lights are computer-controlled. But fireworks, the oldest manufactured light on Earth, are still packed by hand one star at a time, sealed with paper and glue. A single Disney park fires off $40,000 to $50,000 in shells every night. Annual spend across all their parks, roughly $50 million. Those shells are not stamped out on a line. A person sat at a bench and built every one of them. We landed rovers on Mars. We taught software to write code, but nobody has figured out how to automate a 12-inch fireworks shell because the stars are too fragile, the patterns too precise, and the margin for error too small. The craft that puts color in the sky has not changed its core method in almost 200 years. Here is where the story flips. America does not make its own fireworks. Nearly every consumer shell sold in this country is manufactured overseas, almost all of it in China, and the replacement is already here. Last New Year's Eve, Greece and Cyprus canceled fireworks, entirely replaced them with drone shows. 1,000 LED drones forming shapes over Athens. No smoke, no sound, no residue. Cities across America are following. Wauwatosa, Wisconsin dropped fireworks for drones in 2025. The craft that has not been automated in 1,000 years is now being replaced by something that is nothing but automation. The handmade against the algorithm. And the algorithm is gaining ground. Now watch a show differently. Count the reds, they will be everywhere because red is the easiest color to make. A show full of red, white, and gold is a budget show. Now watch for blue. A clean, vivid blue that holds its color all the way to the edges, that is the hardest thing in the sky. If the blue washes out or shifts purple, that is the color breaking apart in the heat. Next, watch for shapes. Every heart, every ring, every face was built by a person arranging pellets on a cardboard template one at a time weeks before you saw it. 3 seconds of light, weeks of hands. That is what separates fireworks from every other spectacle. No screen, no recording, no replay. 47 states now allow some form of consumer fireworks, up from just a handful 30 years ago, because safety standards and injury rates have steadily improved. What you are watching is not ancient tradition. It is a craft from the 1830s, still performed mostly by hand, still imperfect, and still the only show where the product disappears the moment it works. Next time the sky lights up in red, green, and blue, remember, for 1,000 years none of those colors existed. Everyone was invented one colored powder at a time. That is the process. We reveal how things actually work, one story at a time. If there is something you would like us to explore next, let us know. Until then, trust the process.